A couple of months ago, back at the beginning of spring, maybe late spring, I did a video where I planted my sweet potatoes in these two separate totes in the ground. This is one of the totes, and the other one is over there. They're surrounded by wild strawberries, but the totes are there. I used these totes because the ground here was just pure wood chips. I'm building the soil with layers and layers and layers of wood chips, and I knew I couldn't just plant directly into those. So I filled them with some triple mix that I had purchased. And my friend at Buschbeck Farms gave me a new product they're developing to try out. I believe this is for sale now at the Brickworks market and probably on bushbeckfarms.ca as well. This is a byproduct of the wool industry, and so Buschbeck Farms sells lamb, they sell meat, but consequently they find themselves with a lot of wool, and so this byproduct is in the form of a pellet, and it works as a fertilizer. It also works as water retention. Wool is very absorptive, and so I tried it out. This is what it looks like. So I tried it out this year in my sweet potato beds, and I had two separate plantings that acted as a really good comparison. So I am a scientist by trade, a social scientist, but a scientist nonetheless, and in my grad school days conducted a lot of experiments, and so this was a fun shout out to those days. It was a single trial. We had one tub of a triple mix with sweet potato slips and no sheep wool fertilizer, and then we had another identical tub filled with the identical triple mix and slips from the same sweet potato, so genetically identical sweet potato plants, and they were only about 5 feet apart. I watered them equally. There were no other differences between these two tubs, except one had a healthy amount of the sheep wool fertilizer and the other one had none. And to my delight, when I dug up those sweet potatoes this year, we saw a difference. If you watch the rest of this video, you'll find out how drastically the two harvests differed, and I think it's pretty exciting. I should be making a better video on this, but I feel like I'm really limited in capacity and equipment. But I have to get this done because we're going down to -4 tonight, and you know, the foliage is already struggling. Sweet potatoes will typically survive, I believe, through a frost if they're underground, but mine have heaved themselves out of the ground. So this warm weather crop is coming out today, and I'm going to do it one-handed. That's the way we do things around here. Sweet potatoes are super rewarding, as are potatoes, but there's just something about sweet potatoes. They're pretty expensive from the store compared to white potatoes, and just from one little slip, oh, this is hard with one hand, with one little slip you can get so many potatoes. Wow, I can tell already that the ones from this bin that had the wool pellet fertilizer are bigger. These are going to be interesting to tease apart. Ideally, you don't want to break them when you're going to store them long term, but we'll do the best we can here with what we've got. Nice. These are pretty good sweet potatoes. I definitely did not water regularly this year. That was just a little too much to ask of me. But the wool pellet fertilizer acts as like a sponge. It absorbs all the water and helps release it as needed in your soil, which is another thing I was excited about when I got some of that from my friends at Buschbeck Farm. Not just a fertilizer, but for water retention as well. Nice even water in your soil. Okay, I think that's it. They all came out nicely clustered together. Now, let's have a look at them side by side. Okay, these are the two trays. This is the one without the sheep wool pellet fertilizer. This is the biggest one from here. Most are more, you know, like maybe twice the size of a thumb. And then this is the tray that had the sheep's wool fertilizer pellets. And most of them are much larger. Is that a sweet potato? Did it break off?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, sweetie. It's just a little bit of a root. There was a little bit of breakage that happened here when I teased them apart, but not too bad. And I have found that when you cure them, a lot of the little scuffs will heal over like that. I think you really do want your skin unscathed, but the curing process does wonders. There's some eyes here. These ones want to regrow. It's funny. Whew, these nails are going to need some scrubbing. Okay, so that was a pretty good experiment. I'm going to get some weights on them too, though, before I make any final conclusions. Surprise, surprise, I forgot to sum up the video. I just wanted to say that I brought in the sweet potatoes and weighed them. The sweet potatoes in the bin with no sheep wool pellet fertilizer came in at 5 pounds. And the sweet potatoes in the bin with sheep wool fertilizer pellets came in at 8 pounds. So in my little unofficial experiment, it definitely seemed to make a difference. And I'm pretty pumped about trying this again next year.